What are some good movies where the bad guys win? The Usual Suspects. I still think Soz is kinda fucked, because the police guy figured him out at the end. Sure, he got away, but he went through all that trouble just to erase one guy who could identify him, and now law enforcement agencies all over the world will have his photo. True, but he does make a point during it where he says something along the lines of, "You think if he got this close to getting pinched he would ever stick his head out again?" We can assume that he would no longer be doing any more direct crimes with his own hand. Also, this wouldn't matter anyways that the cop found out because the Hungarian snitched anyways. Say 7 then. That is amazing film, truly. I didn't sleep much after watching it. Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back. Also Return of the Jedi from a certain point of view. Our Empire did nothing wrong. Primal Fear. So, there never was a Roy. Jesus Christ, I'm disappointed in you. There never was an Aaron Counselor. Chinatown. Forget it, Jake. Arlington Road. Jeff Bridges was amazing in this movie. Gone Girl. I had read the book already. I saw it alone in the theater while single. I walked out reassuring myself that being single was a good thing. Walking out, the look on other people's faces was well worth it. Especially the couples. Part of the awkward discussion with my wife after that film involved me telling my wife she isn't smart enough to pull that off. She's smart, just not prime smart. There's an argument for Cabin in the Woods, but also one against it. If you view the cabal that's pulling the strings evil, then the good guys win. Of course the cabal loses to what is only ever really described as darkness and evil, so lose-lose. The main characters are only good on the personal concept of the scale. At the end they doomed the world to the Ancient Ones, all for a little personal triumph. The cabal are basically punch clocks. They know they have a horrific task set to them, but they try and do it in the most efficient way possible. But at the end of the day, if they win, the world keeps turning. If the main character win, the world is fucked. Nightcrawler and No Country for Old Men. Nightcrawler was awesome. Upgrade. The evil AI wins out overall in the end. Underrated film. Watchmen had that happen. The villain's plan works and happens before the heroes arrive. It's debatable if he's the villain really. Considering the amount of evil he pulled while executing his plan, I would call him the villain. Taxi Driver. Travis Bickle is still insane at the end of the movie. No Country for Old Men. Not sure I feel Sugar wins. I agree. That's a movie where everyone loses. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Nurse Ratched. She loses her voice and she couldn't wield the same power she used to have. On the other hand, she didn't get lobotomized. We're keeping score. I think she came out on top even though it wasn't a flawless victory. Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I've never been able to find a way to type out that noise they make. Points finger. I wish law-abiding Sid make this list. Ending was complete. That was the biggest reason why I hate this movie. Along with what should have made this list, Collateral, with Jamie Foxx. Coincidentally, I've read elsewhere that he has his contracts in movies to have his characters always win. It's a shame, because that movie would have been great had Vincent accomplished his mission. Collateral actually builds up to Jamie Foxx defeating Vincent though. The entire movie is about how his character is a pushover who will never actually accomplish his dreams. Vincent basically pushes him to stand up for himself and doesn't even really seem that mad when he finally does. The Thing. Infinity War. Our Thanos did nothing wrong. Endgame in that case. Swordfish. 50-50 can't call it a complete victory, but still alive and free. Wicker Man. A Clockwork Orange is the first thing that comes to mind. Alex is more an anti-hero than an outright bad guy, but he won in the end. How can you be that violent and rapey and not be an outright villain? Though it's true the film treats him more as an anti-hero, especially since he's the narrator even. Natural Born Killers. Little Shop of Horrors. Funny Games. Midsommar. Super Size Me. I still go to McDonald's. And I believe the industry as a whole is still growing. That was a horrible documentary. It wasn't supposed to be about American diets, but instead about the shady tactics of advertising and the culture around fast food. Him binging on McDonald's for every meal wasn't to show how unhealthy the food is, but how ridiculous the portion sizes were for supersized meals, and how things like Happy Meals and kids' meals make a place for fast food chains inside of your head from a young age, so you're desensitized to how unhealthy it is. You just see it as a part of life, something you can't change, and something that's always been there. The Wizard of Oz. Ever seen the sequel, Return to Oz? It starts out with Dorothy in an asylum getting electroshock therapy. So the first movie didn't actually end so happy. The Founder. 12 Monkeys. Match Point. Pet Sematary. Not bad guys winning, but Thomas Jane definitely loses at the end of The Mist. Does American Psycho count? Karate Kid. It was an illegal kick. Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog. The Devil's Rejects, and they finally mad third one. The Empire Strikes Back. Joker. Revenge of the Sith. Saw. Avengers Infinity War. Dawn of the Dead. Captain America Civil War. Skeleton Key Election. Rosemary's Baby. Ex Machina. Other People's Money. I think it's one of the most incredible films from the 90s for it too. There's a wire cable company up in New England that is owned by a slightly larger local corporation. The cable company doesn't really make any profit, but it employs hundreds of people in the town, so they keep it afloat. Danny DeVito's character is a shareholder who realizes what's happening, and notices that the stock is at an all-time high, but won't be for long. He was to gather all the shareholders and have them shut down the cable company, make a chunk of change, and move on. The movie's final is a pair of dueling speeches to the shareholders, one by the local corporation's owner, and one by DeVito's character. Here's the local company's owner speech. https://www. YouTube.com. Watch. V = XJ Roro 3 JWs and bucking all expectations. In a 90s film, where counter-business culture is absolutely exploding, where Danny DeVito's disgusting antagonist character is awful over and over again and the audience absolutely hates him by this point, he gives his speech. And he's completely right. Keeping the business open for the sake of employees stifled innovation, hurt shareholder stock values, and was simply kicking a problem down the road for other people to deal with later. They could have been trying to get into the fiber optic market and actually secured a long-term business that was profitable and gave employment to the town, but instead decided that short-term altruism was the right thing to do. Vich. Megamind. That's debatable. He starts the movie as the villain, but ends as a hero. Silence of the Lambs. Hereditary. Shutter Island, if you consider insanity to be the bad guy. Schindler's List. I did that one coming. The Big Short. Inception is a really good movie, but the main characters are terrible people. Glass, but you need to watch Unbreakable and Split first to understand. All three were great movies. I don't think the bad guys win in Glass. Mr. Glass successfully shows the world the Beast and the Overseer, and Dr. Staple fails to contain them. So yes, David Dunn and Kevin Wendell Crumb died, but for good reason. Revenge of the Sith. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, kind of. No Country for Old Men. Good God, that film is amazing. Creep. The Dark Knight. Dodgeball. It just happens to be told from the villain's perspective. Think about it. White Goodman is a successful entrepreneur, managed to work himself out of being morbidly obese, and is simply trying to buy a failing business to improve the conditions of his own gym. Peter LaFleur is a lazy owner who doesn't really run a very good business, as he doesn't collect membership payments from his patrons. Both these characters are very caricatured since the story is being told from the point of view of Peter. He looks like a hero. White is a bumbling idiot. Peter was the villain of this movie, but he was the one telling the story, so he's the hero. Interesting take. I never thought of it that way, but it makes some sense. The only thing is, it was easy to dislike White because he's in Batman: The Dark Knight, Ford v Ferrari, Saw, Rocky, Inside Man, The Gay Nightmare on Elm Street, Infinity War, Avengers, Infinity War, Goodfellas. Probably an unpopular opinion, but Ferris Bueller's Day Off